Good morning. Welcome to TERRA at Home. And we know this face is Dave Maciulis from Natural Landscaping Magazine. And you're rebranding, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on, to become the Outdoor Lifestyle and Design Magazine. So
right.
again, all encompassing all of what you do, but even more so. So you are a landscape designer.
Yep.
And you help people so much with making their outdoor space so beautiful. And we're saying how important that is nowadays to people. You know, it's whatever space you have. You could have the postage stamp property, but it's still your place. It's your little piece of outdoor space to go and spend some time after you get home from work on a Friday. And we're getting into that now. We're in spring now, and we're starting to see the weather breaking here and there. So we want to make our property beautiful. So let's talk a little bit about landscaping our property and just even, again, as we say, the smallest little piece of property we can make beautiful.
That's right. Well, actually, one of the newest trends that some people are doing with some of the smaller properties is getting rid of the grass altogether, having a little space to wine or dine, and then turn the rest of the yard into a culinary garden.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, when you're talking about this little piece of property that some people have, it's again, sometimes it's just a patio and you're just trying to figure out whatever you can do with it. What do you say to people when they come to you and they're like, well, you know what, I don't know if I should even bother trying to design my backyard. I have barely any property to work with. You know that you can do something with that.
Well, I actually just try to sit down with them and get them to resonate with the interior of their home and say, what kind of outdoor room experience would you like? So for example, when I said the culinary garden, you have your little dining patio and that's it, intimate space for two. Some people have an outdoor kitchen garden, and so now as this trend of urban farming is starting to evolve, people are planting salsa gardens, just like I've done myself. I actually took out a whole section of my backyard, no grass, and we love making our own salsas. So right now that section of the entire backyard is all garden.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you are seeing that where, I remember we talked about that trend last year a little bit on TERRA, where you take a specific area, just like as you say, if you're into making salsas and you know that you're going to grow every bit, every type of plant life that you need, every vegetable, fruit, whatever it may be, that will gear around making different types of salsas or sauces or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that some people need a little bit of guidance with, especially if they've never had a garden before in the past. But again, it doesn't take a lot of space to do something like that.
No, it doesn't.
Right?
And space these days are becoming very, very valuable.
Yes, but what we used to put, one house on a property, now they'll fit like 3 or 4, right, on that same piece of property. So again, it's just about what you need and what you want. So as you mentioned, you talk to people, okay, so maybe they have a cottage, maybe they're not going to be home that much, or maybe they travel a lot, or maybe this is where they're going to be. Their house is going to be their haven.
Actually, yeah, and that's actually becoming more and more popular as well, that people don't want to take the drive, for 4 hours up north. What they want to do is they want to find some solace at home. They want to relax in their backyard. They want to entertain in their backyard. A lot of young families are wanting to keep the kids closer to home, let their friends come over, so they're doing their entertaining in their backyard. I think
it's amazing, as you're talking about how you can create this space when you have rocks and beautiful trees and water flowing in the smallest little space. I can feel like a very serene little haven to people.
That's right. Yeah.
So talking about the salsa garden that you were mentioning and creating a garden that works for you, it can still be pretty, even though you have a garden that is very usable like that, like an edible garden versus say something that's so designed with gorgeous trees and bushes and flowers and that type of thing. You can still make it look good.
Well, actually, one of my very first properties that as a first-time homeowner, I actually took the entire yard with the white picket fence, and I turned it into a large perennial garden, but I hid throughout the perennial garden because I love cut flowers. And so what I did is I actually grew peppers and tomatoes and onions and garlic. And so what had happened, people would walk through and then they all of a sudden see this, big garlic plant growing.
Sure.
Or they'd see the pepper plant growing. And once again, as I hid it out throughout the entire yard, it looked very beautiful. And so people are now asking me, they say, well, I love the herbs, I love cut flowers, but I love growing, tomatoes and peppers, but I don't want a whole section of that.
Yeah, they don't want it segregated, right?
Yeah, so you can actually turn, you just have to be very creative about it and determine what are your wants and needs, the functionality. Are you going to be more of that cut flower person?
Sure.
Do you want to grow produce? It's becoming very, very popular now that people want to start growing their own produce. There's a lot of concern about pesticides and herbicides.
Yes.
And really with urban farming, you're in control of that.
Yep.
You are in control of what your children are eating. And it's what's really great is the educational processes of our young kids growing today, starting a plant from seed, watching it grow, getting them to interact. So it's really connecting children again back to nature and getting back to our pioneering ground roots.
Right, which we seem like we were really starting to get away from, right?
Yeah.
So I like to see that we are coming back to that. And that actually brings us on May 2nd and 3rd here at TERRA. We're having a promotion called Hot and Saucy. So it's all about some seriously hot peppers that we bring in, and we bring in some of the hottest around the region. And so people can come and buy that plant life and grow it in their gardens. Obviously, you got to be careful when you're growing those kind of things.
Yeah,
but
well, some hot salsa, eh?
some seriously hot peppers coming in, right? So absolutely. But I love that idea. I love that you said that you can still have a beautiful garden with perennials, and you said annuals as well, where you can sort of just kind of dot in some vegetable garden. Why not?
Yeah.
I love that. That's really cool. It's amazing. So let's talk a little bit about this rebranding before we go, and how you've changed your name and why.
Okay, well, I guess, through a lot of the emails and follow-ups that our subscribers were subscribing to our magazine, we're always wondering, natural landscape, it's not just about eco-friendly, and it's not about nature, it's, what it truly became about, because although it was birthed from my core company of natural landscape design, so I called it Natural Landscape Magazine. Really what it means, and it focuses on outdoor lifestyle and outdoor design in Canada.
Right.
And so many people came back to us and just, why aren't you just calling it the Outdoor Lifestyle Magazine? And it just resonated with me to say, yes, that's what we represent here in Canada, across from the East Coast to the West Coast, is Canada's outdoor lifestyle and design, and that's why we decided to rebrand it as such.
Neat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
so
that's
that
what it
makes
really
sense.
focuses on.
And it's true. You do have to listen to your clients, right? And when people are saying that, and that's what's resonating with them, it only makes sense. After a while, you're not changing who you are or what you do.
No.
You're just branding it as such, and it just makes more sense to everybody. So so that's what we'll start to see now in the magazine, is outdoor lifestyle and design, right?
Yes.
And that's what you do. That's your profession. So you go in and make people's properties look absolutely beautiful. How can people get hold of you if they want to get some design tips in that?
Well, actually, I have this website called justaskdave.ca. You can ask any question, free advice, anytime, and I'll get a chance to respond to it.
Awesome.
And put you in the right direction.
It's great. And we were talking about some of the many TERRA days where people can log onto our website or watch our show and find out when you're coming in here as well to give some really good advice to people.
For Designer Day, yes.
For Designer Day.
Yeah.
Cool. Dave, always great having you on the show,
Great,
and
thanks,
congratulations
Leslie.
on your rebranding. And I know your company's just growing stronger, and a great partner here with TERRA as well. So
Great.
thank you.
Okay.
All right, we're going to have more TERRA at home after this. We have a lot more to come through the show, and we're creating some really cool cooking segments at the end. You bet.
Live color fully at TERRA, where color lives.
Heritage Perennials. Look for us in the blue pots.
Good morning. Welcome back to TERRA at Home. We're at Central Cycle here in Hamilton, and I'm here with Brian, and we are just surrounded by all kinds, everything bikes and all the accessories and equipment necessary for biking, from the average person just hopping on a bike and going for a bike ride to some pretty avid cyclists, right?
Yep.
How long have you guys been in business now?
I've been in business at this location for 15 years.
Yes.
And
You know your stuff, right?
yeah, I've been around bikes all my life.
I know you
actually.
have.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are officially in spring now, and it's time. A lot of times, you have your bike sitting for a very long time over the course of the winter. What are some of the things you need to think about when you pull that bike out and you want to head out onto the sidewalk with it? Obviously, we need some air in those tires, right?
Yeah, that's the first thing to check. Is like over winter, your tires will lose air, and you should actually check your tires for probably every week at least. Like just to make sure that they're fully pumped up, and make sure the chain is lubricated, and take your bike out for a little ride somewhere and see if the gears are shifting, the brakes are operating properly. That's all important things.
So before you head out for that big long bike ride, you want to make sure, as you say, just take it for a little spin around the corner, because you don't want to get into the ride and then find out you're having some major difficulties, right?
Yeah, and if you find you've got a problem with your bike, and you're not capable of repairing it yourself, you should bring it into a bike shop and have it looked at, particularly the brakes and the gears and everything's functioning.
So is that something that's necessary at the beginning of a season? Should everybody just automatically bring their bike into a bike shop? And obviously I know you're in the business for it, but or is it something that people can kind of take a look and say, you know what, I think we're okay now, but should it be an automatic checkup every once in a while?
Well, it depends on how much you're into the sport.
Sure.
A lot of people put their bikes away and they're meticulous about them, and they're put away perfect, and they're like, bring them out in the spring, they're perfect to ride. But if you kind of like put it away wet and kind of forget about it and bring it, it's definitely a good time to bring it in and have it looked at.
Right. Now you have a kind of a cool looking bike right here beside us, and now is this your sort of typical good sort of ride, trail riding bike that you can just hop on for the average person?
Well, this is a good general purpose use bike. Say if you're going to be commuting to work, or just riding around the trails in the Hamilton Rail. It's not really a mountain bike, but like there's a lot of rail trails and things that this bike would do just fine. And with the if the weather's sort of inclement and the roads aren't quite dry yet, you have the fenders to keep you clean, and
that helps, doesn't it?
It helps keep the bike working properly and keep yourself clean. It's
well,
nice.
There's a huge push, particularly here in Hamilton, a lot of other major cities. We're trying to get people to cycle to work instead of driving, right? Obviously, it helps with congestion and obviously with the environment. So if you're going to go to work, you don't want to have to fully change when you get there again. So obviously, the fenders are going to really help.
Oh yeah, and if you get to work and it rains when you're there and you got to get home, you've got you don't have to get wet on the way home.
Oh, that's something to think about too, isn't it? You're going to have helmet head regardless, because helmets you have to wear a helmet too, right?
Well, that's a good idea. It's certainly a good idea to wear a helmet. So.
It's smart, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, so
you never know when you need it, but if it's on your head,
it's on your head, and you don't want to be clunking your head against the concrete, right? So obviously, again, a helmet is a good option. But what other things should we be thinking about when we're getting on that bike, and if we are starting to work it into our regular schedule instead of hopping in the car?
Well, there's the proper clothing helps for a lot. Good gloves, and on a bicycle you're kind of moving through the air, so you want good frontal coverage with a jacket or something that'll keep you warm from the front.
From the front, okay.
And that a lot of times and they'll have vents in the back so that if you work up a sweat, the moisture evaporates, but the front is nice and warm and dry.
And again, those are things a lot of times if you're just starting to cycle, if you haven't been on a bike in a while, and as they say, it's like riding a bike, so you should be able to just hop on if you haven't ridden a bike in a long time. But things that you don't think about until you're on there, you know what, I should have had like glasses or something on me as well, right?
Glasses or a water bottle. Lots of times you get going for your ride and you're half an hour down the road and you're thinking, I'm kind of thirsty.
Exactly.
A water bottle is always good.
So now you're saying this is a good all-purpose bike that we have here right now. Even the seat, and now I know a lot of times people will talk about the seats and how they can be uncomfortable. Is this a comfortable seat, or do we need to add one of those padded gel seats to it as well? Or do you get adjusted?
This seat should be a good, comfortable seat. I mean, there are gel pads, but I don't necessarily think they're needed. I think a lot of people jump to conclusions on their first ride of the year that, ouch, my behind hurts. But the truth of the matter is, it's like doing any new exercise where you're lifting or whatever. When you got to give your body a chance to accustamize to it, and you go by 2 or 3 rides, and you'll notice that it's starting to go away. And if you ride 2 or 3 times every week for a couple of weeks, next thing you know, the seat's fine.
Right, you toughen up.
Yeah, you kind of get used to it, and it's, your muscles kind of accustomed to the bicycle riding action.
Exactly. Okay, so with this being kind of your average bike, let's talk a little bit about maybe going up a little bit from this bike and getting into something that maybe you like this bike, but I want to take it up a notch.
Well, there's all sorts of bikes. Like bikes come in, like you've got your road style bikes and cyclocross bikes, and there's you know, like bikes made for almost every sort of situation and terrain now.
Right. And we have a lot of really good riding areas around the Golden Horseshoe, right? Where people can go, and roads, if you, as you say, if you're a road cycler and you're getting into that. Because sometimes people get the buzz and all of a sudden they're like, I really like this. I want to ride more. So then they start getting into the road cycling. And of course, it starts to become, you know, a bit more of a commitment, right? Because people go for hours, don't they?
Yeah, like, you know, most road riders will, you know, a 40-kilometer ride is kind of like the starting point, you know, 40, 80-kilometer rides.
Well.
But, yeah, around Hamilton we're particularly lucky because there's not, our rural roads around the city are all quite quiet, and you know, if you know which ways to go, there's all sorts of quiet little roads that you can, you know, ride around Hamilton. We're very fortunate that way.
Right, and a lot more equipment becomes involved with something like that because you really do need to be very particular about the materials you're wearing, and then you're getting into clip-on style shoes. So you are starting to get into more of a commitment there. But once people are in, they're really loving it, right? So again, even from gloves, lots of different items. To think about, you know.
Yeah, you've got your super lightweight type road bikes, and then you've got your little heavier style road bikes that a lot of people are buying nowadays, or doing touring. You've got a little bigger tire so you can ride the rail trails and you can go off-road a little bit.
Right.
So that seems to be a popular segment these days.
You're mentioning the rail trails here around the region. Where can you jump onto some of these in the city?
Well, there's rail trails that start off of like Wentworth Street and go all the way around to the east end. That one actually takes you to Caledonia if you use all the right connections.
Oh, that's good.
And from the west end, there's trails that start off by Shadow Golf Course, and you can ride basically to Brantford and then on to Paris on that one.
It's pretty amazing.
Up to Ancaster, there's another one from the golf course. So, plus we've got the new Cannon cycle track that this year is going to be going from one end of the city right to the other. We've got it about halfway now.
Oh,
but,
very good.
It's going to continue all the way across.
You must
Hamilton.
love that in your business, right?
Oh yeah, it's good to
everybody.
see. You know, it's you know, been a while coming, but it's
Sure
good
has.
to see it's here.
It sure has. So again, it's all about you know, again, respecting the cyclist on the road, right? And again, just a mutual respect. But again, get more people on bikes and get them out there and then get riding.
Oh yeah.
Something for everyone, as you say, right?
Oh, that's for sure.
Thank you so much for letting us into your shop. And again, just making sure you have the right equipment, and you're going to have a long spring, summer, hopefully fall, riding your bike. We'll be back with more.
Live color fully at TERRA, where color lives.
You've sat under them and built forts in them. You've swung from them and fell out of them. You've even fallen in love under them. Trees have always held a special place in our hearts and memories. A natural beauty, trees will grow with you and your family and bring color and nature into your world. For your assurance of quality, look for trees and shrubs with the Medallion plant tag. Medallion plants, locally grown, the pride of Niagara.
Good morning, welcome back to TERRA at Home. We're back in our TERRA kitchen here with Chef Mark from La Piazza Allegra Restaurant in Hamilton. And we look like we're making something very fresh and light today.
Very fresh and light,
That time of year, we're starting to get into
That's right.
some of the lighter fare, because we were in the winter, we were just hunkering down and going for it, right?
Yeah, we ate pretty heavy.
Oh, it was one of those winters, right? So we kind of have to, you know, we know this time of year is all over the place weather-wise, but it's nice to kind of help push it forward. And this we're gonna make a salad today.
We're gonna make a nice salad.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, what I brought along as greens is we have a Boston lettuce here, we have some Belgian endive, dandelion, and some red kale. Now, it doesn't really matter what greens you end up using, but what I like here is you have a combination of, you got some bitter here, you got a little bit of sweeter over here, and then you got real hearty over here. So when you're mixing your lettuces, that's kind of what you're looking for. Don't go for everything very soft or those really dainty lettuces, because you know what, when you add fruit and you add some of the other stuff we're going to add to it, it's going to weigh it down.
Sure.
So this is going to give it the bulk that you need to kind of hold up against all that other stuff. And then the flip side, you don't want to go with all bitter lettuces. You wouldn't want want to go with
No.
radicchios and just this
Right.
and this. You need something a little sweeter. So that's where the Boston lettuce comes in because it's a little
See,
sweeter.
I like that variation in lettuces as well. We've come so far now from back in the day when it was just iceberg lettuce, or
Yes.
at home I remember that's all we ever had in our fridge, right? It's like, oh, so and then or just romaine. So and also the variations are good for us, and they have different properties that are good for our health.
That's right.
Plus, as you say, the taste. You're getting peppery and all kinds of interesting flavors
That's
from
right.
different types of lettuce.
Exactly.
So good. All right.
Yeah, so you're going to mix them up, and you know what? Find the combination that you like. Because it really makes a difference, and you'll find that you won't get bored with salad. A lot of people say, I don't like eating salad. I
I
get bored with it. I have it
know.
every night. If you keep changing the lettuces
Yep,
around,
that's what I do.
there's plenty of combinations out
Because I
there
love
that
like
really change.
arugula and spinach, and I mean you can throw spinach in with any other kind of if you want to just toss it in every single time because it's just sort of in there.
Yeah.
But add also all kinds of different other flavors in.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. So that's the lettuces that we're going to be using. Then we have some strawberries. We have some blackberries. We have a brittle or praline, depending on what you want.
I have an eye on that.
And this is really, really simple to make.
Yes.
All you're going to do
It
is
is.
caramelize some sugar in a pan, throw some nuts of whatever you like, cashews, peanuts, whatever you want to use. We use slivered almonds in this one. Throw it in there, touch of lemon juice for a bit of acidity. Let it firm up on a parchment paper, and then you just break it apart.
It's amazing how gratifying it is. Too.
It is.
But
And
it's
you know
so
what?
good.
This works really, really well on desserts as well. So,
Yeah.
you have a little bowl of ice cream and it's just plain vanilla. Take that, crush it down, sprinkle it on top,
Yep.
and then all of a sudden your vanilla has popped
And you look like you've done something fancy.
and you've done something fancy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you our dressing. So I'm going to put some on the cutting board for you.
Okay.
Now this is a little bit different. So I'll just put a little zigzag here so you have an idea. So this is the dressing that we're going to use. And this is a pretty simple dressing.
Okay.
It's got mango in it. Okay, we have the lime, so we're going to pick up on the lime flavor that we're going to add in there. It's got a little bit of Dijon mustard, a little bit of honey. We got some salt, some pepper, and a touch of white vinegar in there. And we're going to
Okay.
puree the whole thing, and it's got one egg yolk, and that'll give it that body as well.
I was just gonna say where you're getting that body from, but there's egg in there.
And just one egg yolk, and that just gives it a little bit of body with the Dijon mustard as well.
Okay. So there's mango in there, so you must have
mango.
really purified that just to give it.
Put it in a blender and let the whole thing go, and just keep on going, and of course your oil, and just keep on pureeing it and
Right.
get the consistency you want and stuff like that.
Well, we're saying, you're talking about the variations in your salad every night. If you are eating salad every day, that is another one. The dressing.
The dressing makes
Change
all
up
the
your
difference in the
dressing,
world.
because again, a lot of times we shy away and we worry about the dressings because dressings can be very heavy, and they say that it can add enough fat content. You might as well be eating a burger. So you have to be very conscious of that and pick and choose what you're doing. And you don't need to have a lot of dressing. You don't want to weigh your salad down with
Correct.
it. If you have all these wonderful ingredients, it's just supposed to just add and boost the flavors, right?
Just boost the flavors, bring it out. And you know what we're using, as you can see, we have the lime in here, and we're going to shave some lime on there as well, some lime zest. So you're picking up on those flavors as well. And that's what you're looking to do. So I'm just going to lay out the Boston lettuce around the outside.
Okay.
Now, the kale, you do not want to eat too much of this because it is tough on your stomach.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this is really, really a hearty lettuce.
Yeah. I kind of, when a couple years ago, I went a little banana with the kale, and I would just made like kale salads crazy like every day. Yeah, kind of.
It's hard.
Your body's trying to break it down and digest, and as we know, it's one of the superfoods in the world.
Yep.
But you have to find ways of again, sometimes you can rub it, right? You can do the rubbing with the leaves and soften them up, but
Yep.
your body's still trying to break it down, so you just have to be careful.
Exactly. Now, we're going to add our dandelion.
That's one thing if I will buy maybe some mixed greens that will have dandelion in it, but I've never bought dandelion on its own to add to anything.
You know what? It's a really nice, if you want something really, really light, we do it with dandelion. You put it in a pan, you add a little bit of lemon juice to it, and a little bit of
Yes.
garlic, and just wilt it down slightly, and it's a nice little side vegetable.
That's a good idea.
And then we're going to add our
And it's a great way to
kale.
get your greens, right? Because we're always trying to fit as many as we can in a day. See, this looks nice too, because again, you have variations in the textures and the color.
textures,
Looks good.
color, everything. Yeah,
Purple kale. It's good.
it is nice. But again, you got to be careful on what you do. I mean, this would be enough for 4 people in here, so I mean, you're not eating all of it yourself. It might be a little much on you.
Could be a little much. I might
And
eat half of
then-
it.
And then we have our endive.
So again, as you said, the endive has a bit more of a bitterness to it sometimes,
It does have
right?
a bitterness
So
to it. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to shave it down a little bit. There we go. So the dressing you'd want to make ahead of time. Now, the nice thing about the dressing is it can sit in your fridge. You put it in a container, you put it in a squeeze bottle if you have squeeze bottles at your house, and it can sit in the fridge for probably about 5 to 7 days.
Okay.
Okay, so you have a bit of time on that. You'd want to do it ahead of time. Don't try to do everything. That'll take you a bit of time to make.
Right, yeah, that one's, that's not your quick throw it together.
That's right. That's not a simple vinaigrette.
Yeah,
It will take a little bit of time, you know,
Okay.
once you do your mango and all that.
I'm the olive oil balsamic. Done!
Done. And you know what? You know, during the week and stuff like that,
Yeah.
this is something that you would do on the weekend and then have it there so it's ready
Right.
to go.
Right.
There we go. So I'm going to throw that in there. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my lime. I'm going to use a carrot peeler.
Okay.
And I'm going to peel that. You could use the zester as well, but I prefer,
Right.
I like peeling it and then
Okay.
putting it together.
Putting a little
and
bit of
then-
that in there.
And
That's
we're going to
gonna
add
be
a
good.
little bit of this, yep, and
Okay.
that'll offset the sugar in this.
Okay, so we're going to continue to put this together and we'll finish the whole salad for you when we return right after this quick break.
Live color fully at Terra, where color lives.
I am a truth seeker.
A storyteller.
A dedicated volunteer.
I am a caring neighbor.
A customer's best friend.
And a client advocate.
I am a survivor.
A social media junkie.
A proud father of 4 and problem solver.
I am the Hamilton Spectator.
I am the Hamilton Spectator.
I am the Hamilton Spectator.
I am.
We are the Hamilton Spectator.
Good morning, welcome back to Terra at Home. So we're finishing up our wonderful salad. So just before we went to break, you were actually, again, used an apple peeler, or a peeler.
A peeler, yep. And then I
to-
just shaved some of the rind off of the lime, and now I cut it down, and I'm sprinkling it right onto the mixed greens.
That's a great idea.
I'm going to take a little bit of pepper. I'm going to take a touch of salt. There we go. And then we're going to add our fruit.
Okay.
And it's up to you how you want to do it. I'm going to do slices for this one.
It's one thing I don't put too much of in my salads is fruit. I use dried fruit. I use lots of vegetables. I generally put an avocado in there almost every time because I love avocado, but I like a salad with fruit, and I just, for some reason, I don't know.
You know,
I don't
it's
think to
what's
do
nice
it.
about using fruit in salads is if it's starting to turn, they get really sweet. So just before they're about to go and you can't use them anymore, that's probably the best time to use them in a salad.
Yeah.
And you know, you're getting a little bit more natural sugar out of it. They're softer. They work really, really well in salads.
And they're good for you. And if you're eating spinach and you use a citrusy dressing or a citrus in your, that actually helps the calcium from the spinach absorb into your body. So those things actually work together. That's the one time I will really make a point of using like fruit. I'll use like orange segments or something like that because those two actually work together. So that looks so pretty though. The fruit really adds color. And then
Now
your
we're gonna take
awesome
this
dressing that you made, the mango and that flavor with the lime and the berries, that's going to be really good. Just a reminder as well, you can find this recipe on our website at terragreenhouses.com. So you can give it a try. And again, it's all about variation too, right?
All
So
about
pick and choose what
variation.
greens you like, what dressing you like,
right.
and just pull ideas from whatever salads you see.
You'll never get bored.
Right.
There's so many combinations that you'll never get bored.
And different types of cheeses, using goat cheese and feta. Look at
That's
that,
right.
that is beautiful. And your nice little brittle on top.
There we go.
Awesome. Good job, Chef Mark. Thank
Thank you.
Spring is here. That's it for now. Have a great weekend.